What is going on, guys? Welcome to Tactical Foul. Happy 4th of July for all of our American listeners out there. My name is Tigo. That is Kevin. We are so excited to talk to you about Copa America, Kevin. Copa! How are you feeling?
Well, man, I don't know. It's obviously not the same levels as the Euro and
Oh, no.
not as much to talk about specifically, but it's still interesting. There's still three good teams, and I would say also in if we look at the Euros, there's like three, four, five, three or four. I think maybe the Euros have three or four rather than here. I'm only really seeing three teams that stand out. And so, but the Copa America is still good regardless. The
I
last two
don't
games that I watched were a lot more intense than I had seen many of these group matches.
see. I don't know if
So
I
I
would
think
agree that there were only like 3 or 4 teams. Like, if you're
in the
talking
Euro
about, are there at the Copa? Like,
at
if
the
you're talking
at
about
the
like,
Copa, I only no
if you're
at the
talking about
Copa
like
I'm only
teams
seeing
that can
three
win,
teams.
then I
Yeah,
only really see
three
T2.
teams that look good enough to win.
See, I don't even know about all that. Like, I think that,
You don't
I
even think
think,
three teams? You only see two or what?
I see like one and a half. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to
I
like,
see three. I see three solid teams.
like
And that's what
you
I kind
could,
of want to get into
if you
today.
go into it, I could say there's really only one team that I see that's really gonna win this thing, like with how they played, and then in that same sentence, I could say, you know what, I can see like 4 teams winning it. And this is the thing with the Copa, because I think you mentioned it, and I want to like bring it up really quickly before we hop into our first thing, which is like, dude, I'm really disappointed in the Copa America. Not because of the games or the officiating or the any of the things that you
The
want to talk
pitches.
about, like any of that, right? But I think I'm more disappointed because what we're continuing to see is that none of these teams can keep up with the Europeans. That I think is my biggest concern. None of like Argentina doesn't look like a team that's going to compete at this upcoming World Cup for a trophy. Brazil doesn't look like a team that's going to compete for an upcoming World Cup in this next World Cup. Uruguay looks good, but they don't look anywhere near as good as any of the European teams. Um, Colombia looks good, and we'll talk about them, but like they don't like. And like I'm starting to get worried that the divide between Europe is only going to get bigger from the rest of the world if we keep seeing, there's no other way to say it, but mismanagement from the associations and the federations that are running South American, North American football. Because like, let's talk about it. Let's hop right into the first team. You're wearing their jersey. You wanted to talk about is Argentina. So like, hop right in. Like, how do you think they're looking? Because like, I have some thoughts, and they don't
I
necessarily
mean,
agree with yours.
so of course they never do. That's what this whole point is, of course. But anyway, so I was going into this tournament, and realistically, if we look at the stats, it, it it's not going to show what I'm going to talk about today. But I was going into this tournament very confident that Argentina were going to be the strongest team in this competition. But as like much as the more I see Argentina, the less convinced I am of them. And a lot of those things stem from like you one Messi's level has dropped significantly since he left Europe. And his level was already dropping, right? Cuz he went to PSG, and PSG he was already not necessarily shining for
I
PSG.
didn't want to be the
So
one
his
to say it.
level right, his level was already kind of dropping in that sense, but there's still a big gap between when he played in Europe, whether it was PSG or Barcelona, than right now when he's not playing in Europe, because you can tell that he's very coddled in the MLS, and so he's losing. I feel like his edge, his I think Thierry Henry said it best, where he would train with Messi, and if Messi was losing, he'd get fouled. He'd be like, "Give me the ball," and he'd go and score two or three in training. like that was when Messi had edge. Like
Had work
Messi,
ethic.
and I feel like he had edge, he had work ethic, like he got angry. And I'm not seeing that from Messi in this game. I'm seeing him like miss chances and being like, "Oh, well,
Would you
like
would you would you say it's a lack of passion?
I think he's because he won the World Cup and because he's won what he's won, he is not as motivated. I don't want to say it's a lack
Motivated, that's the right word.
I wouldn't say it's a lack of passion because he loves the game, and you could still sort of see that he has fun doing it, but it's no longer the same motivation that I saw in the past or when he was playing in Europe. And I feel like Europe gave him that motivation because he wanted to prove, because in Europe there's a spectrum of like, I have to prove that I'm the best. And so he lost that um that edge that he had when he was playing in Europe, because in Europe you really have to prove yourself, and in the MLS, I mean, he's coddled. Everybody's like, oh, Messi, we're just grateful to even have Messi here, and so he doesn't, he could win or lose in the MLS and he's gonna not get criticized and people are gonna look at him the same. Whereas in Europe, he loses a game and, oh, Messi lost the game. Messi is the worst. Messi isn't the GOAT. Messi isn't the best. He loses a game in MLS and it's like, well, Messi's still great, but the team around him sucks. Like, you get
Even
you
though
get what I'm
Busquets
saying.
is there and Alba's there and Suarez is there.
Right.
Even though it's old Barcelona. Like, I know, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I also, like, and this is where I don't necessarily agree with the statement, is I think, and this might not be true, but at least this is how I kind of take your stance and what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is Messi doesn't look as good as he used to, so Argentina doesn't look as good as they used to. And I think Argentina actually look really good. Not really good. I think that Argentina look good in this tournament.
Better. You think Argentina looked better?
I think better is not the right word. They look different. They look different, and I think that they look good. And I think a big part of that is the fact that, well, the focus is no longer Messi. And while the focus is Messi when you talk about the conversations, I can't watch an Argentina game with the audio on. I can't do it. Dude, that game against Peru, where he didn't start, the first 25 minutes of the game was talking about Messi. They didn't talk about a single thing that happened on the field. The first 25 minutes of the game was talking about Messi. Dude, the guy's on the bench. He got the sniffles. Who cares? Like, Arturo Martinez is the best player at the tournament.
Oh, no, but
maybe talk about him once.
But wait, he didn't just get. Let's just clear this up for the viewers. He didn't. He did get the sniffles, but also he's having a problem with his meniscus.
See, I didn't even know he got the sniffles. I was just, he didn't start that.
No, but
game
he did.
Okay.
He did. He had a cold or something. No, he had a cold, I think, in the previous game, and so they wanted to give him a rest in this other game. But the rumor, I don't know if it's just a rumor, but I've read a report that said he's having some sort of issue with his meniscus, and he might actually not even play this next game.
And I think that's a good thing. I think Arturo Martinez has looked like the best Argentinian player, like hands down, in my opinion, of all of the players at Argentina. 4 goals, and like he scored a goal in every game that Argentina played, and he only started one of them, and he leads the entire tournament. He's looked so good. I think Garnacho, when he was finally given the start, I think he looked really good. Di Maria was given space to work. I think that team, when it doesn't have to use the words that you said, when Argentina doesn't have to coddle Messi, when they don't have to be like, oh, we have to play through Messi because he's Messi, when Argentina can just play their game, I think that they look incredibly dangerous. And that's why I still look at them as this is their tournament to lose. One, because it's an easy bracket for them. Like, I don't expect Ecuador to give them a challenge at all. And then in the inverse, I also don't expect Venezuela or Canada to give them a challenge because, well, Argentina's already beat Canada, and, well, Venezuela I don't think is all that good. So I still think that it's their tournament to lose, and I think that they can very easily win the tournament without Messi because I don't think that they need him. He is a luxury piece. He should be treated as a super sub. If you need a goal in the last 15 minutes, or like, that should be his role now. He should be as a mentor, as a teacher, because he's not the Messi of old. He's not just not the Messi that used to be at Barcelona. He's not even the rundown Messi that we got at PSG. He's just not that good.
So let me kind of contradict your statement there. For one, I feel like it's been a while since Messi's actually been like a focal point for Argentina. And especially that I feel like the World Cup proved it, because I saw a lot of players in the World Cup come up. And I saw in the World Cup, I feel like the reason why Argentina won the World Cup was because I feel like Messi wasn't. Anyway, we're not gonna get into that. This is my opinion. I'm not gonna get into like the other parts of it, but I think that it's been a while since Messi's been the focal point of that team, and like the pressure's been off of him for a while in that role. Now, at the end of the day, he's still the captain. So yeah, though I do agree that maybe he should be used more as a super sub. I don't completely agree with that. I think that they shouldn't use him just as a super sub. I feel like they should be more wary with him and give other players opportunity to start over him. He's a captain, bro. Same reason. Would you say Ronaldo shouldn't be starting?
Well, they don't have a better option than Ronaldo. There's not a better striker option than Ronaldo. So yes,
who's a better right winger than Messi?
Right now for Argentina,
who's a better right winger than Messi?
Di Maria is playing better than Messi is.
Di Maria is not, but he's not better. He's not better. He's not a
right
better
now.
player.
Right now, I think Di Maria is better.
But
yeah,
you're talking about
right now. I'm not talking about the
healthier.
totality of their careers. I'm just talking about like if
Not
you need
even
to
the
start
totality.
a game right now. Right now, you need me to choose like Messi or Di Maria. I think Di Maria is providing more for that team. He's actually running up and down the sideline. You don't catch Di Maria just walking on the field, and like you see that from Messi.
He's never really played on the right wing for Argentina. He's always played on the left wing.
Yes, because of Messi. He's a right winger naturally.
He doesn't normally. No, not really.
He's a left-footed winger.
Comfortable. He's very comfortable on the left, but he's always been very comfortable on the left, even for his club teams.
Totally,
he's been very
but you have a left winger. You have a left winger in Garnacho.
But you're not. But he's not better than Messi.
Right now, yeah, he is.
No, right now because Messi's not all the way fit right now. But when Messi's fit,
Di Maria.
When Messi's fit, they're.
I would still take Di Maria. Di Maria provides more to that team.
No,
again, Luke, your love for Messi, cool, I get it, but I just think
it's not even the love for Messi. It's not even the love for Messi. I'm not being unbiased. If you
pause the Argentina game, the likelihood that Messi is walking is very, very high. Now, if you do that on the inverse, if you pause a game where Messi's not playing and you pause a game that Di Maria's playing and you pause, the likelihood that Di Maria's walking around not as high. So he's going to provide more for the team.
It's two different things. When Messi's walking, he's not just walking the walk. He's analyzing his opponent, and he's looking to see where he needs to pressure.
Jog and do that. He's not trying. He is not playing at the same level that he was before.
He's always walked. But he's always walked. He's always walked.
Totally.
He's always walked.
Totally.
That's not, even in his prime when he was doing stuff, he's walked. I don't think that's a factual
totally
statement.
Fine. I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think that I don't care if you were in your prime walking. That should only be a knockdown. Don't walk. Like, I get it. Sometimes you do a sprint and you want to do a little bit of a walk or whatever, and the ball's nowhere near you, so you walk around. I'm not talking about that.
Listen,
I'm just talking about
what you're saying, but
he doesn't really move. He kind of sits there and waits for the ball to come to him, and he'll take a couple of steps here, and he'll take a couple of steps there.
You don't need to be sprinting the whole game.
That's not what I'm saying.
In order for you to be better,
he's not playing on that Barcelona team.
Okay, but you saying that Di Maria is better than Messi in that
right
position
now for Argentina
that's an objective.
No, I think objectively he does more for Argentina at the right wing spot when it's Di Maria, because Messi was given the ability to walk at Barcelona because the team around him at Barcelona was so incredibly good. They didn't need his support per se in those areas because they were so good. So I'll give him an excuse there. Argentina does not have the same level of quality, so you have to be more involved on the defensive part of the ball.
He's only had but where are you seeing that he's done more? Because he only really has 2 assists. He hasn't scored. Messi has 1 assist and has scored 3 or 2. Sorry, he scored 2 and assisted 1. Di Maria hasn't scored anything and assisted 2 goals. I just don't know where you're even seeing that Di Maria has, and he's had more appearances than Messi at this point.
Are you talking about at this tournament, Messi has scored?
Messi has scored 2.
That is not true. Messi has 0 goals this tournament. Lautaro Martinez has scored every goal for Argentina. I believe he scored every goal for Argentina. He scored the 2 against Peru. He scored the 1 against Chile and the 1 against Canada, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
So,
but even then, Di Maria hasn't
Julian
done
Alvarez
anything
has a
to
goal.
show.
So again,
Julian Alvarez has a goal.
So again, it's not like and not everything is always going to be like
what is shown? But that's what I'm saying. What is shown you? Okay, so yeah, maybe not. Let's take away what I just said. Just scratch all that I just said. What has shown you that Di Maria has played better than Messi?
His presence on the field. He's more involved in the game. He's more in all of the games that he's played. He's more involved in the game. Dude, look at passes and all of those things. Dude, just watch the game. Like, just go and watch the games.
Bro,
and if you're going to sit here and tell me that Messi was involved in those games as much as Di Maria was, that is just... Dude, Lautaro Martinez was more involved in the games, and he has less than half the minutes that Messi played. Lautaro Martinez has been more impactful than... So, again, this idea that Messi is providing a ton of talent... or a ton of value.
He's providing more value than Di Maria is. I can tell
you
that right now.
I don't think he is.
You don't think he is, but that doesn't make it factual.
No, but you don't think he is. Prove it.
But
prove it. You prove it. You can't. And so,
I can.
How? Prove it.
I can.
Prove it.
Let me pull it up right now.
What has Messi done this tournament? At all? There's nothing that he's doing that you're looking at and you're going oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure that the goals that they've scored, Messi either assisted some but trust me, it's there. Let me see.
Messi has 1 assist.
And how many does Di Maria have?
Has 1 assist.
So how can you look at that and be like, oh, well, Di Maria is better, or ports more to the game? Just don't see it. I just don't see it. Which is fine. We don't have to agree, but I'm just saying I just don't see it. I don't see Di Maria porting more than Messi. They're the same age. They're both aging. They're both aging wingers.
Yeah, but they're not aging the same.
I feel you could alternate them, but at the end of the day, Messi's the captain of the team.
So
yeah, I'm gonna play my
Luis
captain.
Suarez was the captain of Uruguay.
I'm gonna play my captain over just some winger.
But
that's
the problem. Why is he the captain? If you're not good enough to be on the field, a great example of this is look at Uruguay. Look at Uruguay.
Better.
Here, let me use this real quick.
You have nothing to prove that
the on-the-field product from Di Maria is better. He is more involved in the pace of play. He is involved defensively. He's running up and down the side of the pitch. I'm saying all of those things. Now, you're not accepting that as truth, and that's fine.
I feel like
but those are truths. Those are objective truths.
No. It's a fact that you don't like Messi. It's a fact. I don't not like Di Maria. If I didn't like Di Maria, I would be. But it's a fact that you don't like Messi. So you're going to be saying.
What am I saying? That's an opinion. The opinion is the end bit that Di Maria should start over him. But you haven't brought anything up that Messi is doing better than Di Maria. I am stating things. He is more involved all over the pitch because he has more fitness than Messi. No, he isn't, dude.
I wouldn't say they're the same age. They're the same age.
Age doesn't matter. The miles on your body does. Di Maria doesn't have the hard
No.
miles that Messi does.
Listen, you can say it all you want, but at the end of the day, that's just going to be your opinion, and mine is not the same. I don't share that. To me personally, I would put Messi in because he's going to give you more than Di Maria, regardless of what
Di
you want to say
Maria
about
is still
physical
playing in
presence.
Europe. He didn't quit and go to Miami.
Who cares? Is he even playing? In
He's
Europe?
at Benfica.
Benfica.
So it's still in
no,
Europe.
it's not
Benfica's
the
better
same
than
thing.
any team that the MLS can make.
Messi's still too good to take out. I wouldn't take him out to put Di Maria
What has
in.
he done to
Especially
deserve
if
the
Messi,
spot?
especially if Messi was completely healthy.
He's not. So you're talking about ifs and buts. If my mom was a
Right,
bicycle,
right now,
if my
right
mom
now.
had wheels, she'd be
So-
a
so
bicycle.
this
Like, who
is-
cares
so
about
this
ifs?
This is why the only reason that makes your point valid is the fact that Messi isn't healthy. But if we're talking about both of them being completely healthy, then anybody, not just me, most people would take Messi.
Well, you
over
have
Di
to
Maria.
reevaluate it. If what you're saying is true, that he's having an issue with his meniscus, I didn't know that. Then he's having an issue with fitness, and if he's having an issue in fitness,
Right.
he shouldn't
That-
be on
that-
the field.
that-
and that's
right now he
beautiful
shouldn't
because
be.
the last game he wasn't on the field, and Argentina looked absolutely lethal, which just goes to prove my point that they don't need him. Argentina has looked incredible without Messi, playing at full health. Now imagine if they just played without Messi, period. What would happen if they just played Di Maria instead of Messi? And now you have Garnacho, who's 19 on the wings. Arturo Martinez can start, who already has 4 goals, and he's been used as a super sub.
To me, if Uruguay played without Messi, they'd be on par with Uruguay.
I disagree. They showed us better performance. They showed us a better performance against a good team.
This is what I'm going to bring to my next point. Uruguay is looking more and more. They're looking better and better as this tournament goes. Uruguay and Colombia, to me, both look like teams that are very well worked, that are very well structured, and that are playing much better football than Argentina are.
See, I don't agree with that. While I think that you are right, I think Uruguay have played a very good football. I am not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I'm not concerned about the U.S. game, because I don't think that the U.S. showed up in any way kind of like the way that I expected them in our previous podcast when we talked about Copa. I brought up the U.S. They did not play to any level that I expected them to play at, like, at all. And I think a big part of that is Berhalter. We'll talk about him a little bit later. And I got worried in that game. Like, I know that Uruguay walked away with a win, but if Uruguay was really a team that's supposed to, like, really push for the tournament, they should have done better against the U.S. Like, in terms of, like, I feel like they should have scored more and, like, dominated the game more. And I just didn't see that from them. And I still think Uruguay is a great squad. I think the same thing with Colombia. I think, like, they fall in the same kind of level as Uruguay, which is Uruguay, when they played against the bad teams, they absolutely got their job done. And then when they played against teams that were kind of good, like when Uruguay played the U.S. or when Colombia played Brazil, they didn't look anywhere near like the teams that they were before. Does that take away from how good Uruguay is? No. Does that take away from how good Colombia is? No. Is that an indictment of Brazil? No. But what I think my take is this, is that right now, and obviously, like, this is such like a cop-out take, but, like, I think the easiest thing to say is that Argentina is going to make the final on one bracket, and I don't have enough information to split Uruguay, Brazil, or Colombia, because I don't have enough information to say one of these 3 teams are going to do it. If I had to bet right now, I would bet Uruguay, because I think they're the best. I think they're playing the best with a really good roster. But my question then comes back to, does Colombia play like they did against Paraguay and Costa Rica? Does that Colombia show up? Because if that Colombia shows up, I don't know who beats them, like, if we're being honest. Or what about the Brazil that played against Paraguay? If that Brazil shows up, I don't know what team is going to beat them, and that's the problem with that side of the bracket. Is
here's the problem with what you're saying. Though I did find Brazil's game against Paraguay very impressive, that's the only game they've shown up, and that's my problem with Brazil right now. I'm very worried, and this is what I need you to talk to me about. I need you to talk to me right now.
I would say they
To
showed
me,
up for
okay,
Costa
but first,
Rica.
but wait. I'm not done. I'm not done. Let me finish. To me, Colombia look. If I would put all my money in, I mean, I do think that right now, if I were to just, you know what, who's gonna win it? I'm gonna say Uruguay too, but
I think they're the best
I
built
like
team and the
yes,
best, not
yes,
best
they are.
built, but
They
it's
are.
just
They
like
have the best, and
it's
to
like
me, they have the best. Wait, they have the best coach to me. Which
yeah,
I
there it
love
is.
Marcelo
Beautiful.
Bielsa. I love the way
Beautiful.
I love the way they're structured, and that I love the squad that they have. But I am very impressed with Colombia right now. I'm very, very
Totally
impressed with
agree.
Colombia. I'm very
Totally agree.
impressed with them, the way that they're playing, the way
James
that
is
you know what they remind me of? And I want to just say this real quick. They remind me a lot of Liverpool when they played in their prime because they play so fast. And Luis Diaz is a prime example of like, oh, like they pass really fast in the transitions and even in possession, they try to just be quick. They're not
yeah.
like they're not like even Uruguay or like, like Pep style teams
And
or
then
like
he's one
Spanish
on one
style
with the
teams
goalkeeper.
where they're like playing slow, they're passing, they're slowly moving, blah blah blah. No, Colombia's like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's score, let's score, let's score, let's score, and let's try to score as much as we can, and then try to like,
It's not even.
defend.
It's just Colombia's the reason I'm concerned about Colombia is because I feel like Colombia's strategy right now is it's not about creating quality chances. It's about creating a quantity of chances. It's about shooting as much as you possibly can. Because if you shoot 30 times, 3 of them are going to go in, kind of a thing.
That's
And
fair. That's a
and
fair
and
statement to say.
that is my concern.
But I
Is
wouldn't necessarily say they're not making quality chances, but
no,
they
they
are
do.
they are more focused on quantity chances,
Yep.
quantity amount than quality. For
That's what I'm
sure.
saying. The
I'll
focus
agree with
isn't
that
on
for sure.
creating super quality chances. They're
Yeah.
just about let's shoot as much as possible because eventually the goalkeeper will make a mistake. Like the goalkeeper can't be perfect. So let's just shoot as much as possible. And because the other thing that I think that they are so good at set pieces. Colombia has been incredible. James is proving that he continues to be one of the best international players of all time. Like, because when he
No,
puts
I'm
on that
very
Colombia
surprised
jersey on,
with James. I actually, and we spoke about this earlier. I was not aware he was playing for Sao Paulo. I thought he was playing in Saudi Arabia. I don't know why I
no,
thought
he's in
James
Brazil.
was playing in Saudi Arabia, but man, for him to be playing in Brazil, and I'm not saying Brazil's a bad league.
I'll say it.
has a good league, but I'm not gonna say they're a bad league, but I'm not gonna say they're a good
say
league. You know what I mean? They're on par with the Mexican league, in my opinion.
Oh,
But
no. Brazilian league's better than the Mexican league.
I don't think so. But that's biased. I mean, that's biased. You're gonna
Yeah.
think Brazil is a
No,
better,
I just think that
is a better
like more
league.
players are
To
coming out
me,
of the
to me, I
Brazilian
think
league.
right. There a lot of more players are coming to the Brazilian league. But if Brazil try to go in,
Coming out of like
right, coming out of
youth and
but why I
development
say
and
but and I don't want to get too into this. The only reason I think La Liga is better is because they don't have players going to Europe and they keep a lot of their quality players. So when they go and they compete against Brazilian teams, they end up getting an edge over them.
oh yeah.
But anyways,
Besides the point,
besides the point, it surprised me that he was playing for a Brazilian league. Not to say that Brazil has a bad league, but
you don't expect that level of
you're not
quality
seeing-
from a
okay,
guy at the
but
Brazil.
check this out, man. And I said this earlier about Messi. Going into the MLS, his level dropped. And it's interesting to see the fact that James' level hasn't dropped as significantly as Messi. In fact, I feel like it's gotten a little better.
I think James. I don't know if it's gotten better. I think James is
that's
incredibly unlucky because he came in as a superstar in a generation where the 10 died, where the number 10, that position in football, died because he started playing in the era of the DM. And a lot of teams don't play with a DM. They don't play with a 6 and a 10. They'll either play with a 6 and 2/8 or they'll play, a 5 and 8 and a 10. A lot of teams don't play with a DM and a 10. And he came into a when he went to Real Madrid.
I need you to specify something because I get confused a lot when you tell me a 6. What is a 6 to you?
Busquets.
Busquets is a that's where
A
I
six
like
is a DM.
to me a six. Well, that I don't see the six the same. I think the six to me is a Xavi, like a box to
That's a
box.
5 to me.
Where oh, wow, that's crazy because a lot of the players like Xavi Alonso, he played with the 4, which is one of the Busquets played with the 16, and he played with the 5.
Okay, like so
So I get
but
it. I'm not
it's my
right,
bias
it's
because
your,
of
so that's why I
Zidane.
needed you
Zidane
to
was
explain
box
to
to
me.
box and he wore 5.
Right.
So that might be biased there.
To me, I'm thinking
6,
Barcelona. So I'm
8
like
is box to box to me.
Eight to me, 8 is like attacking. Like,
No, that's a 10. 8 is box to box. 6 is a DM. You know, that's how I look at it.
This is where I'm looking at it, and I feel like it's important we establish this on this podcast, so that way people will understand how.
We'll do a whole episode on it so that we can figure it out what we're talking about.
The way I look at it, because I grew up, like I watched more Barcelona. I look at Iniesta as I look at a 4 or like a 16 or a 5, which is the DM, the pivot, and then I look at a 6 as the box to box, and then I look at the 8 being in a way box to box, but a more creative box.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And 8
like
is a
he
creative
kind of
box. Is an attacking box to box midfielder.
Yeah. He's an attacking box to box midfielder. He'll sometimes switch to the wing while the winger inverts, and then
a 5 is a defensive box to box midfielder. Bruno Guimaraes is a perfect 5 in my mind.
A 5 to me is like
Busquets.
A 4, or it's like a 4 or like a 16, which is Busquets and Rodri. Because they're defensive. They're the sole pivot in that. They're the pivot.
I get it.
Dictating the play between the defense and the mids and offense.
That's a 6 to me.
So that's a 6 to me is like Xavi. He's like coming up and he's the box to box, but he's also assisting the rest of the team. A 6 to me is a Xavi, which that's
back
why
to
I
James
on the right side. All right,
back to
James.
I think he suffered from this thing where the 10 went away, the center attacking mid went away, you know, and it sucked for him because he couldn't find a home really anywhere. And I don't think he played bad for Real Madrid, and I don't think he played bad for Bayern Munich, and I don't think he even played all that bad for Everton and all of the stops. He just teams don't need a 10 anymore. And now that he's 32 and he's old, the 10 is coming back. Jude Bellingham and, you know, what Phil Foden has kind of been doing for Man City. And you're starting to see teams try to introduce Florian Wirtz is kind of playing as a 10. Right. And the 10 is coming back. And you're just like, oh, getting to my point that I want to talk about Brazil. Brazil is playing a double pivot to try and facilitate Lucas Paqueta at the 10. That's incredibly stupid from Dorival.
Yeah.
It's incredibly stupid from Dorival.
Let's come up to the next point, because we talked very good about Colombia and how well James is doing, and Colombia being that they're starting to come up.
They're a team that can win this thing.
They're one of the favorites, but I don't know if
I think favorites is the wrong word. I think the favorite to win should be Argentina.
Uruguay.
I think it should be Argentina. Because they
Argentina
have the easiest bracket,
yes,
and so they're not gonna face a challenge until the final. So health,
but I don't know
matters.
why. But to me, the favorite is Uruguay, just because I like
totally
the
get
way
it.
they played the most.
But what I would put Uruguay and Colombia and Brazil as is they can win the tournament.
Yeah. Moving on, yes, Colombia have done well. They can win the tournament. I feel like I feel like we've established that James is doing really well. They're playing very good. Now, I want to give this whole segment to you, Thiago, because this is very, very. You're more passionate about this team. This is your country at the end of the day, and I'm gonna make my rant about my country later, and I've got them right over here.
I love that jersey,
and I love this jersey too. And I would have worn it, but they're not in the. They got
knocked out of the group. By the way, who called that?
You did. Okay. and fair enough. I said myself that the only reason I had them even going anywhere was because of my bias and my love for my country. Now, I want to know your delusion about your country.
It's not delusion.
Not even no. I want you to rant, and I want you to tell me everything that's going on with this Brazil team and how you see them either coming out or going out. Because
look, everything about this, they're going to win the tournament or lose the tournament on the backs of the decision of Dorival. Do you want to know what Dorival reminds me of as a manager of this Brazil team? So I'm a car guy.
Chance.
No. I'm a car guy. I really like cars. I like working on cars. I like driving my car. I go to the track with my car. I really like cars. I would consider myself an amateur racer because I understand the rules of racing, the driving lines, all of that stuff. I really like cars. But you know what I should never be behind the wheel of? A Formula One car. Why? I like cars. I understand driving. I understand the racing line. I understand even paddle shifting and all of that stuff. But in no way, shape, or form should I be driving a Formula One car. That is what's happening with Dorival. Dorival has been a manager for a long time. And he's a great resume. And he knows soccer and he knows it well and all of that stuff. But what he was...
Specifically Brazilian soccer.
Yeah.
A lot of the teams that he's coached were Brazilian.
No, yeah, he's coached everywhere in Brazil.
Almost every team he's coached
everywhere in Brazil. And like, you know what? Like, dude, that is experience. That is experience that matters. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But what you're asking is a guy who used to take, his Honda Civic to the track, and now you put him in the Red Bull Formula One seat. You've given him a Ferrari, and you've asked him to go win. You're not setting him up for success. And every decision that Dorival has made at this Copa America tournament goes to prove that he is out of his depth, that he does not understand managing players of this caliber. And that's the problem. Every decision from the formation to the players that he's putting in the formation to the tactics that he's using, everything. I was concerned the moment I saw the lineup for the Costa Rica game. Because, well, why are we playing a 4-2-3-1? That doesn't make sense. Why are we playing with a double pivot? And while I love João Gomez and I love Bruno Guimaraes, and I think that they're really, really good DMs, that doesn't mean just because you have two DMs doesn't mean you have to play a double pivot, right? But he wants to play with a 10. He wants to have 4 attackers. Awesome. Why is Lucas Paqueta the 10? Make that make sense to me. I don't think he didn't play as a 10 at West Ham, and he's not playing that well as a 10 now for the country, and it's been 3 games now where you've continued to try to shoehorn Lucas Paqueta at the 10. And, like, here's the thing, man. Like, defensively, I think Brazil's actually looked kind of good. I like the back 4. The first game against Costa Rica where he started Aranha instead of starting Wendell, I was livid. I was livid because I wanted Wendell at that left back spot, but Aranha played relatively well. But Wendell played both other games, so he fixed the defense. Keeping it going, I actually like Bruno Guimaraes and João Gomez. I don't know if you know this, but Bruno Guimaraes is actually a target for Man City to be support for Rodri because they don't have a player that can play behind Rodri if he gets hurt. I hope that doesn't happen because I hate it. I hate seeing Brazilian players going to Man City because they become super robotic and then useless for our country. But like, just the quality of player in Bruno Guimaraes and João Gomez, you can see that and everything. But then you get up top. Oh, we're going to play Vinicius as a striker, even though he's the best left winger in the world, even though he's a momentum player, even though he's at his best when he has field at his feet and he can touch the ball consistently. Let's play him as a striker where he's not going to have field to play. He's not going to touch the ball and he's not going to be able to build up momentum. All right, cool. And we're doing that so that Rodrigo can play on the left side. Even though playing at Real Madrid, he played on the right side. And playing on the right side, he won La Liga and a Champions League this year on the right. But we're going to facilitate him on the left and get rid of our best player in the best position for him. Okay, that makes sense. And then on top of that, since we're getting rid of our most creative player to play him as a striker to facilitate his teammate who can play on the right, we're going to play Rafinha. A guy who lost his job to a 16-year-old. And we're going to keep Savio on the bench. Savio on the bench, even though he was one of the key creative pieces for a Girona side that led La Liga for a majority of the season and just earned himself a move to Manchester City. Dude, The whole
Rafinha scored a really nice goal against Colombia.
totally
I gotta say.
really nice free kick. That is all he's done in 3 games. That's it. Is that free kick. And I'll give him credit. Scored the free kick. He's great from set pieces, but I'm not going to bring in a player to play 90 minutes just from set pieces.
I think he's your best set piece taker.
I don't think that. I don't think that's true.
Controversial statement.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, then why did Vini let him take that free kick?
Why did Vini let Paqueta take the penalty? He's trying to make it.
Okay,
he's trying to make it not about himself.
Okay,
he's trying to not make it about himself.
Okay,
he's trying to learn from the Neymar mistake.
But here's where I'm gonna make this point, because this is where this is how I'm seeing Brazil. That's where I feel like Vini's making a mistake. Only because I feel like he needs to take this team. I feel like Vini should be the focal point of this team.
He is.
And that's where I feel like it's a problem. And this is what I was trying to explain in my contradicting point to your rant on Brazil. Is I feel like Brazil have been so individualistic and they can't find a way to play together. I feel like they just haven't found a way to play together, man.
But
every time
they're not playing together.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish this point. Every time I see them trying to come and attack, one of the players is trying to dribble past, whether it's Rafinha.
Yeah.
Savio is the one player that I see other than other than Rodrigo, pass and move. But so I see a lot of from Lucas Paqueta, from Rafinha, like trying to just do it on their own or trying to dribble past 2-3 guys and then blah blah blah, and then it's not working that I've been seeing with, and it's not.
Here's the thing, here's the thing, like you're saying, but here's the problem with that too is Savio's also taking one-on-ones. Savio's also taking one-on-twos, and he's winning those one-on-ones. And you know what that does? This is the problem, Kevin, because what you're saying is right, but for the wrong reasons. The individual part of Brazil is what we need to lean into. We need the individual talent,
but you need to be able to play as a team.
Totally,
that's the problem.
But here's the problem, Kevin. I think you're misputting where the blame is. The blame isn't on the players. It's on the manager because he's not putting in the right players. Because when Rafinha started against Costa Rica, there was nothing happening on that right side. He subbed in Savio. Savio was creating entirely from that right side. And he was the creative force. And Vini wasn't in the game. Wait. Let me explain the whole point. Because Vini wasn't in the game because he was playing centrally as a striker. So now you go into the second game, and this is where I'm holding my hat that maybe Dorival can learn. Because in the second game, he came out with the perfect formation and the perfect set of players minus Paqueta. I'm at a point, put Endrick in at the 10. Honestly, I don't want to see Paqueta on the field anymore because he played well. I just don't think he's the right player for there. That would be the only change I would make. That would be my starting 11.
Let me tell you how I would play this.
But real quick. What I would do because when he played like that, Savio was able to create on the right side and even scored. And because Savio was creating on the right side, they couldn't overload the left side to get rid of Vini because you had to worry about Savio. So you couldn't overload the left side and you couldn't overload the right side because you had to worry about both wingers. And when you have to worry about both wingers, which you have to with Savio and Vinicius, it gives them more ability to create. And then what did we see? Do you remember that first Vinicius goal? Or is it the second Vinicius goal in the Paraguay game? The one where Paqueta gets the assist, where it's pass and dump and pass and dump. And they do the 1-2 all the way to the box and Vinicius finishes it. Okay. You can only do that.
I see your point.
If the defense has to be spread out. And the defense doesn't have to spread if you're worrying about Rafinha, who's headed to Saudi Arabia.
I see your point, but man, here's where I'm not looking at. This is where I'm looking at it differently. I just feel like Vini is good enough to be more of a focal point for that team. If I were playing, is and isn't.
See, I agree that he is good enough, and he shouldn't be. And I'll say my point after you say your point.
Okay, let me say my point.
Say your point, but I have a reason why that's wrong.
Right. You can go on. To me, I feel like when he played him as a striker, though you feel like it was a mistake, I feel like he should play him more as a false nine and then have two wingers, whether in Savio or Rafinha or anybody else, try to just run up those wings and then have Vinny be more of like that facilitator for them, playing through him, because I feel like he's good enough to do that.
I
And
don't think he's
the
not good
fact
enough to
that-
do that, but that's a
right,
mismanagement
but
of him
why
as a
does
player.
but why but and
Why
Dor-
would you
and
use your
100%
why would
I
you put
agree.
the best left winger in the world at a false nine?
Okay, then maybe not as a false nine.
Why would you
But
play him
kinda like,
centrally at
but
all?
Kind of, but wait, kind of like what Messi did. I feel like they're expecting. I don't know if they're expecting or they're not playing this way, or something is going on down that left flank. That to me, I would look at Vinny as the Neymar, like a
Yes.
guy that's in the wing, and he can either pace
can
up that
invert.
wing or invert and facilitate for his team and be
And
a
he
sort
does
of a
that from the
second
left wing.
10.
He does that.
But
He does
hasn't
that
been
from the
doing
left
but
wing.
he hasn't been doing that effectively.
Because they have only played him on the left wing twice. The first one was against Paraguay, where he scored a brace.
You know where there's
And
a
the
big problem in
second one,
Brazil?
real quick, and the second time was against Colombia, where Colombia sat back. They really tried to defend, and they played on the counter. They were, and so again, I
know
get
where I
what
see
you're
a big
saying, but
problem, though?
here's the problem with what you're saying. Why I don't think that. Why I like the fact that Vinny gave Paqueta the first PK, and then when he had an opportunity to get a hat trick, gave him the second PK. Why, when it came to take a free kick against Colombia, Vinny didn't go up there and say, "No, this is mine." You know
That's
what?
very
You're
surprising to
at.
me.
Let me finish. You know what?
Why?
Rafinha, it's on the right side of the field. You're left-footed. You take it. You're really good at taking it. You go and do it. You know what that's showing me? It's showing me that he's actually being a leader of that team and not trying to be selfish. Because, and here's the key difference. When it was the Neymar verse for Brazil, everything had to go through Neymar. And what did we get out of it? Did we win a single trophy with Neymar? Did we win a single World Cup? Did we win a single Copa America? Did we ever look dangerous?
I'm gonna tell you one thing. Y'all look better than you do now.
That's because of the manager, not because of the players. The manager is
Y'all didn't have a
mismanaging the
great
team.
manager before. Y'all didn't have a great manager before.
But he wasn't
either.
mismanaging the team. He wasn't actively trying to make the team bad. I'm sorry, but a team trying to win a trophy doesn't start Rafinha.
And look, let me say this.
A team trying to win a trophy doesn't start Rafinha.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I feel like another thing that Brazil, another point I'm going to make, is that they don't have a main striker. I feel like they really missed out. I feel like they really missed out on Richarlison.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing for me. That I
Yeah,
feel like
but
if they had Richarlison, they would be more threatening.
I totally agree with you.
I feel like having a bunch of wingers trying to score your goals can be
dangerous.
Dangerous.
You know what? You here's the thing.
Like,
you know what we can do to facilitate
trying
that?
to score all your goals, it's just not it. Rodrigo's a winger to me. Like,
yeah, but you know what you
be
can
a
do?
nine, but
you know what you can do? Just don't play with a striker. Just that's it. Like
that's what
Paqueta doesn't need to be in the field. And to be fair, Rodrigo doesn't need to be on the field either. Play Endrick as the false nine.
I agree, but
Endrick can facilitate.
But then you're gonna put too much pressure on the boy.
So he can facilitate as a false nine. He's shown us every single time that he's touched the field, he's been a threat and he's been dangerous.
He's always played down the left.
No. He's played centrally. He's played centrally. He gets subbed in for the left, but he plays centrally. He plays off from in that middle. All of his goals are coming from him primarily playing centrally, because when they'll pull Vinicius off, Rodrigo will go over to the left side, or somebody else will go over to the left side.
Last time he came on for Vendel, which is very
yes, because we pulled off the left back to play another forward, and he played in the middle between Vinny. No, he played in the middle with Vinny, and then Rafinha came to the left side, so Savio could play on the right side.
I don't know if I would put that much trust in that in the boy.
He has shown. Here's the thing: you can't trust Rodrigo to be the striker.
Just because he did well against Mexico. That's the only game I've seen him
No. Then you haven't watched
enough. Where else? I haven't
Endrick.
watched Brazil other than in the Copa America. And I haven't really seen Endrick.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen Endrick do anything in the Copa.
Yeah, because then that's just not seeing enough of Endrick, because
I mean, what has he done in the Copa? Can you
In the Copa, he
can you
hasn't
be
been given an
specific?
opportunity.
Right,
Again, it's
which
a
is why I'm saying
mismanagement of the
I
assets.
haven't seen him in the Copa.
And it all comes back to Dorival mismanaging the assets. Why is Araña starting at left back when you have Wendell? Why is Rafinha on this team at all? Like, at all. Like, you just don't need, he doesn't need to be called up. Why is he here and why is he starting? Why is Rodrigo playing as a striker when, like, he should be playing as a right winger?
That is a problem. That is a problem.
You're getting rid of his. Why is Paqueta playing as a 10? There are
don't know.
too many questions that are coming into this, and they're all coming from Dorival. All of them. Dorival is making Rodrigo look like an absolute bum. And we know he's not because of what he did with Real Madrid last year. He's making Vinicius look like a bum. And we know he's not because he's on his way to win a Ballon d'Or if Brazil can do well in this tournament and just won a Champions League as a key piece. He's making Alisson have to stand on his head defensively, and he's making the best goalkeeper in the world have a really hard time. Like, you have a really good DM. Instead of using him as the pivot, like what you should be using in Bruno Guimaraes, no, let's give him a partner as a DM for some reason, and we're going to overload.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
All of the decisions that are being made that are giving you the questions that you have, and they're fair for Brazil. Real quick, let me finish. And I got, because I'm done with this. All of the questions that you have, all of them, that you've come up with, that you've mentioned about Brazil, all of them don't stem from the player talent. The only one is not having a striker. Richarlison being hurt is a massive, massive hit to this team. Totally agree. But everything else, why isn't Vinny being more of a focal point? Why is Rodrigo playing as a striker? Why is Rafinha on this team at all? Why is Paqueta playing as a 10 instead of an 8, which is what he's more naturally doing? Why are we playing as a double pivot? Why are we starting Araña at the left back position? Why aren't we being more structurally sound defensively, even though we have Marquinhos and Eder Militao, who are... All of those questions are not a question about quality. Eder Militao is on Real Madrid, one of the best clubs in the world. Marquinhos is on one of the best clubs in the world in PSG. We have some of the best players in the world. Every top team.
We could say the same thing. Okay, just finish.
Every top team in the world has a Brazilian on it. Name one, they have a Brazilian on it. They're trying to go and get it. We should be able to make a roster that is quality. Quality. Okay. And we have... And then we gave the guy the keys to the Ferrari, even though he doesn't know how to drive stick. And that's the problem. Everything comes back to the Seleção's inability. Dude, we interviewed freaking Jose Mourinho for this job, and he wanted it. But instead, we went with Dorival Jr., who's never managed outside of Brazil in his life. And we gave the keys to the Ferrari to a guy who's never driven anything more than a Honda Civic. And that's the problem. I'm
pretty sure you guys had Carlo at some point, too, or you guys were in.
We were interviewing Carlo, but Carlo didn't want to leave for Brazil.
Okay. Anyway, so, yes, I agree with what you're saying. Dorival is definitely mismanaging this team because with the set of players that you guys have, you guys should definitely be up there as the favorites. And I don't know why I'm not looking. I can't see this team and see them that way. Which is,
I don't blame you.
But not to say that they aren't. I mean, they have quality. So at the end of the day, England aren't favorites for the Euros. The England don't look like favorites of the Euros. Doesn't mean that they're not, right? And so here, I'll say this. I agree with what you're saying. I don't know if I would play them exactly the same. I do feel like they need to play with a 4-3-3 traditionally because I feel like with a 4-3-3, Brazil would thrive more. I feel like with Bruno Guimaraes, I don't know if I would necessarily have Endrick, but
in a 4-3-3, Endrick doesn't fit.
In a 4-3-3, Endrick doesn't fit. Okay, great. No. I would play him in a 4-3-3. I don't know where it's just really hard.
Well, he would fit if you play him as a false 9. If you play the 4-3-3, but instead of having a striker, he plays as a false 9.
Right. I do agree with this that Bruno Guimaraes should not be playing in a double pivot. He should be the sole pivot because he is that good.
Yep.
And Paqueta,
crazy. Hit him with the band.
Crazy. I was actually rooting for Paqueta in the beginning of this tournament because I considered him highly. but what I have seen from him so far has been very unimpressive. And so I will say that, and I will leave it at that. I would definitely play as with a 4-3-3 with the level of quality this team has. They should not be playing with a double pivot. They should not be playing a 4-2-3-1. And it's true. It's a true statement.
Like,
Now I do feel like Vinny should. I don't know, and I do agree that like yeah he's showing leadership within the team, but I feel like I'd like to see more of what I see in Madrid in this team. And it could be down to the mismanagement, but I feel like Vinny needs to just disregard the manager at this point because Brazil aren't doing well and try to take the damn team by his back. I feel like
yes,
he
yeah.
needs to prove that. He needs to do that in
Totally.
order for this team to get out and be able to beat Uruguay in the
He's not
quarterfinal.
playing. Remember, he's
Oh
suspended for
yeah,
that
he's
game.
got 2 yellows. So
So like, but
man,
here's the thing.
okay. So wait. And I don't want to talk about Brazil and the whole thing.
No,
You
yeah.
made a good rant, but
You
I
want
want to
how do
ask
how
you.
does Brazil beat
I want to
Uruguay?
leave. Yes, that's what. And you took the words right out of my mouth. How do Brazil beat Uruguay? How? How?
Rodrigo on the left, Savio on the right, Endrick as the striker. Done. That team.
Yeah, but he hasn't played Endrick at all. You think he's gonna play him as a striker?
No, he's not going to. You didn't ask me how Dorival's going to mess it up.
You're saying how you.
How do you beat Uruguay? That's how you beat Uruguay. You beat Uruguay with
don't know if I
Rodrigo
put
on
that
the
much
left,
confidence in Endrick just
Savio
yet,
on the
right?
right, Endrick as the striker,
I don't
and
know if I
then
put-
there you go.
I
That's
don't
how
know
you
if I
beat
would-
Uruguay.
I
They
don't
won't do
know if
it,
I would-
but that's how you
I
do it.
don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would give that much trust to Endrick just yet.
Why not? He's shown nothing but quality. Nothing but quality. And you can't.
And I'm not saying that's. I'm
and
not
you
saying he
can't say
hasn't.
that. You can't say that, and then also think that Spain should keep playing Yamin Lamal.
No. 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Lamine Yamal,
Age
but
doesn't
the thing
matter.
is-
Age doesn't matter in my opinion. It's quality of player. Now you have to manage the player's fitness overall. He hasn't played a game. He's played 8 minutes.
listen to
He
this.
can play 90 minutes.
Spain don't have another option than Lamine Yamal.
Neither do
realistically.
Brazil. Who's the striker that they're going to play? Another winger?
Rodrigo.
That's the striker. So more wingers in the as a striker. See what I'm
that-
saying?
that should-
We don't have another option. Are you going to play another?
You don't have any other option?
Dude, who's going to play centrally? Find me the striker. Find me the Brazilian striker. For some reason, we didn't bring Gabriel Jesus. At least, I'm not saying he's
Gabriel
good.
Jesus
At least he's a
definitely
striker.
But
Like-
yeah, he at
like,
least he's
dude,
somebody.
It's a myth. Why did we bring Rafinha, but then didn't bring a striker when we knew that Richarlison was hurt and we needed Gabriel Jesus, but we didn't bring? Like, is he hurt? Like, this is the thing. Like, I'm
What
not
about
even a
Pepe?
Gabriel Jesus
Pepe,
fan.
Pepe's a winger?
Like,
Pepe? Pepe's a winger.
I don't know where he plays. If I'm being
Plays in
honest.
Porto and Evanilson.
Ivan
too.
Nilsson.
I
He's a
think
left winger.
Nilsson. Ivan Nilsson's Ivan Nilsson. Anyway, there's a
Pepe
lot of
played.
players that I haven't really
Pepe
noticed.
played a majority of his games at left wing for Porto.
And what about
last
Evan
year.
Nilsson?
Give me a second and I will tell you. I don't know what Evan Nilsson is. Evan Nilsson is a forward. He also plays at Porto. Fun fact.
Yeah.
And he is a striker. There you go. Play Evan Nilsson.
Evan Nilsson
Is a
or
striker. He
Endrick.
played
And I'm
every
not
single
saying-
one of his games
and
as a
again,
striker.
I'm not saying no Endrick at all, but yeah, the team selection is very questionable. And
Like,
Dorival-
dude, I would play Endrick over Evan Nilsson. I would do that. I think Endrick has shown more quality, and that might be just because I haven't watched many Porto games. But even if you're not going to do that, like, just play a striker. Play a guy who knows how to play centrally. Play a guy who naturally plays centrally. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So let's move on because we don't want to spend too much time on.
Let's
on,
go
on
into
the-
our quick fire topics, real
Quick
quick.
fire topics.
5 minutes or less. I'm gonna give you your rant. I know you want to talk about Mexico.
And my
Go.
rant will be fast. My
Go.
rant about Mexico. Okay, so it's this is a heart wrenching one because we did absolutely awful, and not to say that the U.S. did any better, which are direct rivals, but they had a much harder group in my opinion. Anyway, Mexico has again has disappointed, and though I do feel like I saw some improvement, it it stems to what I said in the last game, that the fact that like we don't play in Mexico anymore. And I feel like a big problem that I've been seeing, especially a lot, is that Mexico America fans endorse this garbage that we're seeing from Mexico. And I feel like it's not going to make the team improve. You know what I think Brazil are good is that their fans are extremely critical of them, whether they're in the States, whether they're anybody. Brazil fans they put their team on such a high standard that
Should
if
have
they
seen the
play
text
garbage,
messages. Me
they
and my
play
dad.
garbage, and everybody will tell them that, and all the fans in the stadium will tell them how garbage they're playing. Whereas Mexico, you see Mexico America fans, and we're losing, and oh, fans are cheering, and they're there taking selfies and for the vibes and this and that. I'm done with it, man. And I don't. And this team, the worst part is, I'm so angry because this team is never going to change. We're only going downhill from here. There's nothing that I'm seeing from Mexico as an improvement. We're not going to sack the coach. The coach is going to continue on with this garbage that he put on. He promised us that there would be better and younger players. None of them really came on. He kept a bunch of idiots on the field that didn't do anything. We lost our main guy in the second match or the first match. I don't know which match, but we lost Edson Alvarez. And that just it set us up for failure, which blows my mind that we were depending on a DM to keep us in a tournament. That's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous to me what I watched from Mexico, because you know what? A lot of these games, yeah, we did play better, but who cares, man? The results aren't there. The passion isn't there. It's gone. And the part that breaks my heart about this team, and this is where I'm going to end my rant, is that the Mexico America fans, the fact that we're not playing in Mexico is what strikes me, because if we were playing in Mexico, these players wouldn't want to set foot in a football pitch ever again. And so the fact that we're going to these damn games in the States and the Mexico America fans are endorsing this garbage that I'm watching is so incredibly just, I don't even know what gross, nasty, disgusting. I'm done with it. I am boycotting this team until I see a genuine improvement, until we play in Mexico again and these players know how bad that they're playing. And so that's where I'm going to end my rant.
Well said. And I think you made a great point. And I just want to mention it is, I cannot tell you how many pundits. No, good. That's how it should be about your team. And it's the same way I feel about Brazil, and I think it's very interesting. Because one of the things that you brought up was how critical we are of Brazil. As Brazilians, how critical we are of that team. And I wish I could show you the text message chain that me and my dad had after the 4-win win. It was not positive. We just absolutely annihilated Paraguay. I think it was Paraguay. It was Paraguay. And we absolutely roasted them. Roasted the team. Because even though they played well, that's the standard. 4-1 against Paraguay, that's the standard. That's the bare minimum. We expect exceptional. This is, a lot of people don't know this. They're going to be wondering why there aren't the stars here, because this is technically a Brazilian national team, like women's national team hoodie. I like representing both. But that jersey has 5 stars on it. That's the standard. That's the standard. And they don't live up to that standard. And they haven't lived up to that standard. And I think that the criticism, the level of critical thinking that is coming towards Mexico, I think is lacking there. And I think that's a really good point. And I think another fan base that I think is now starting to hold their team to the standard, which is one of my quick fire points, is the U.S. Because the U.S. is at home in a Copa America, out of conference. They're not even a Common Bowl team. They're a CONCACAF team hosting a Common Bowl tournament in the United States, and they can't even make it out of the group. I'm sorry, making it out of the group was the bare minimum. That was the bare minimum.
Especially when you talk about the quality that the U.S. had.
And this is where I don't ever want to hear. I said it before. I'm not going to say it again. I'm not going to. I'm done calling this the golden generation of the U.S. Because a golden generation doesn't do that.
You know,
A golden generation.
They actually played much better when they had players in the MLS. When they had Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey out there.
Dude. The
that's a
U.S.
fact.
men's. No, it is. The U.S. men's national team needs a change top to bottom. There have been calls for Greg Berhalter's job.
They need a coach that has coached in Europe.
Oh, you want to hear something?
And here, you want? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Before you say that, I feel like sometimes, especially in national teams,
They care too much about the nationality of the manager.
yes. Wow, you took the words right out of my mouth.
You know why? You know why I took the words right out of your mouth? It's because you want to hear something crazy? Who do you think the best manager at the tournament is?
Marcelo Bielsa, and he's Argentinian.
Oh, no.
You want to know Uruguayan.
No. You want to know something crazy?
What?
The U.S. men's national team interviewed Bielsa and didn't give him the job.
So did Mexico, bro. Can you believe that?
Didn't give him the job because he didn't speak English.
Same thing with Mexico because they wanted a Mexican coach.
Bro, you want to hear another crazy thing?
Insane.
You want to know a manager? You want to know a manager that's actually really impressed me? Jesse Marsh, the manager for Canada. He's American. He got Canada out of the group.
Yeah.
Canada's not a team as good as the U.S.
I'm sick of the stigma that we have to have a coach that is whatever nationality. It's stupid,
dude.
Man,
Even if you're gonna have an American, Jesse freaking Marsh, you interviewed him, and instead you gave the job back to Greg Berhalter. And Jesse Marsh then went to Canada, and guess what? Canada's playing in a quarterfinal, and the U.S. are sitting at home watching a tournament in their own country go down. And you're not going to convince me that the U.S. couldn't beat Colombia. I think they could have, because they took that game to Uruguay at the end in there, and Uruguay won 1-0, and the U.S. played incredibly well. I'm not saying that they would have won. I'm not saying that they're good enough to win, but they could have. And this is the problem. The U.S. men's national team needs a revamp top to bottom before this World Cup happens, because if they don't change, they're going to fizzle out of the World Cup at home, and that's a problem.
Unpopular opinion, but they should have a European coach, or at least a
not
coach
unpopular at all. Not at
least
all.
At least a coach that has coached in Europe or knows Europe. Because a lot of these players are playing in Europe. Why do they have a U.S. manager? For what?
Dude, and the craziest part is it's not even like where like all that. I don't know where the change happened. Where for some reason it just needs to be American managers now. Where it needs to be guys from, because like Jurgen Klinsmann was the manager for the U.S. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he did that. Managed Germany, managed Bayern Munich, then managed us for 5 years, and we played well. And I'm not saying bring him back, because I believe he's with South Korea as the manager for their name. But, like, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that Greg Berhalter cannot be the person leading this team, because if they are, the U.S. is going to get embarrassed in the World Cup in the United States.
Can I ask you something? Quick fire topic that I didn't put on here.
Go ahead. Last one.
You think Canada could take out Venezuela?
Mm-hmm.
I think they could. I actually think that.
Canada could beat
Venezuela, even though Venezuela have had a good tournament, they won all their 3 games. I think.
Who called it?
You called Venezuela. I did
Remember? I said Venezuela, Ecuador. I gave the edge to Ecuador on goal difference. Yeah. It was the other way around, but I said Ecuador, Venezuela would make it out of the group. Here is what I'll say. I think Canada can absolutely beat Venezuela. I think that they have a team that is built very, very well to beat Venezuela. But I also think that Marsh is in their heads and is talking about the fact that if you can beat Venezuela, a team that they can beat, if Canada can beat Venezuela, they get Argentina again. and they can get the rematch because they want the rematch.
Yeah.
They want to run it back. And that I think is going to play a big role in why Canada is going to play well against Venezuela.
Me too. I think the same.
Speaking of which,
what I've seen from Venezuela, like I said, I felt like Mexico, even though we lost against Venezuela, I still feel like we played better than them. And so I haven't been impressed by Venezuela necessarily.
I agree. Real quick, let's go. Let's run through it. Argentina, Ecuador. I think we can both agree Argentina wins that game.
Easily.
Canada, Venezuela. I think we both just agreed Canada's going to win that game.
Canada. Yes, sir.
Colombia, Panama. I think we can both agree Colombia wins that game.
Colombia easily.
Uruguay, Brazil. I'm going to give it to Uruguay. I want to say Brazil, but I think that the smart bet right now is Uruguay. I think you would agree.
I think if you said Brazil, it'd be with your heart.
100%. Like again, if we get the Brazil that's playing against Costa Rica, not Costa Rica. Well, yeah, Costa Rica, but against Paraguay, I think we can win. I just don't know if that team's going to show up, so I'm not going to bet on that team showing up because I hate Dorival Jr. That being said, semifinals Argentina, Canada. Who do you have winning that game?
Argentina. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna give it to Canada. I'm gonna give it to Canada for the
You
story.
think Canada makes the final?
For the story, my guy. For the story. And the reason I say that is because Uruguay, Colombia, I have Uruguay winning. You would have who winning in that game?
Colombia.
Colombia. Either way, the whole point is Uruguay wins the whole tournament. So it doesn't matter who makes it out of the top of the bracket. That's who I have winning the whole tournament right now. And so for the story, Canada running it back against Argentina, the revenge game, that would be really cool. But even if Argentina was in the final, I would give it to Uruguay. I think Uruguay is a really, really strong team. Guys, that is everything. Let us know in the comment section below, who do you think is going to win the Copa? Was your bracket right? Because I know mine wasn't. Mine was close. But I would have never guessed Panama over the U.S. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Google+, all of those things. Google+ doesn't exist anymore. All of those things. My name is Tigo. That is Kevin. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're Tactical Foul. Get out of here.